I can't look over there. I got to look at the camera.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody. It looks like we're live now. So if anything goes wrong on this live broadcast, blame me. We're on Daniel's channel, but we're using my gear. So if something goes wrong, it's all my fault.
I'm not worried, but I'm learning from this. And look at the scenery we get. We get in front of the Cobb House. So, you know, it's a little bit windy out here, so you might hear a little bit of wind, but it's a full spectrum survival. He's here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I mean, look at the Cobb House. Like Daniel was saying, that's just an amazing piece of work. As with everything, the Cobb House is a work in progress. And that's something that we wanted to talk about today, is really all the projects that you have on a homestead, all that you have in your different level of survival and preparedness. It's like everything is a project.
Yes, definitely.
And it's like they never end, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and sometimes you start one and you're not able to finish, but you know you can come back to it later. So it's like you're chunking away projects like the Cobb House. We're coming back to it this year.
Right.
Last year we took a whole year off, but all that cob you see right there was mixed by Krista's feet. So
yeah, hand and foot mixed and applied. So, you know, because when I got here and I said, Daniel, you know, can we work up a concrete mixer or something? He said, well, we can, but you don't know the consistency as much as if you actually get in there and you're in there with your hands.
Yes, exactly. Because the concrete mixer can only make looser mixes, whereas you want it to be like thicker than peanut butter, like making bread. You know, so you want it that doughy bread so that it's really thick and just goes on there thick.
That's right. Okay, Teresa asked, how long did it take you to get that far on the structure?
2 years.
2 years. And now, if that was your goal, if you were out here, say you were in a rented camper or something, and your goal was only to build a cob house, a single-story cob house, how long would it take you if you worked every day, if you had, you know, 2 or 3 people?
But you weren't gardening or anything
Sole
like that?
purpose in life right then is to build a cob house.
You could probably do it in a few months.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Especially with a few people helping. Is this me and Krista mainly, and we had a few events, the cobathons, but you know, there we'd have 30 or 40 people happen. You know, it really gets slapped on then.
Yeah, right. So what's the process of the cob house? Because I imagine you've got to let it dry before you apply too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when you said a couple of months, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you put your house together in 4 days. So yeah, there's definitely a difference in time commitment there. Yeah.
Now with cob, especially if you're just doing cob and not straw bale. This is a straw bale house, so the cob is over that.
Right.
But if you're just doing plain cob, you can only go up about 1 foot. And if you're going cob, and then you got to let it completely dry. So you got to go to another section and wait for that to dry, and then you can come back to it and put more on top of it. So because it is just clay and water, you know, so, you know, and sand and straw.
Right.
So, you know, you put too much on there, you're just going to have a big mushroom at the bottom.
Right. Okay. So definitely, like everything, it's a work in progress because it takes maintenance, right? Mm-hmm. If something went wrong and you got a hole in it somehow, or water started getting into it, you're going to have some erosion, aren't you?
And we have a place too. So it took 3 years for drip to get through, but in the back corner, the tin, you know, it's round, so you got to be creative on where you put your tin. And I didn't realize there was a drip coming through, and it caused a hole. So that's going to all be replaced, that whole section there. So, but that won't be hard. I mean, it just, you know, you just go up there, you rip it out, you reuse the cob, just wet it down again, and reuse the whole mixture again. Just replace the straw bales.
Yeah. Matthew said, great 2 channels. Thank you, Matthew. I saw your message today about getting out of the city. I'm glad for it too. So thank you for kind of keeping an eye on us. And you were right. He was, I believe he was just reading something. Maybe he was listening to an audiobook or reading it about the really catastrophe that's going to happen in every city around the world when there's a medium duration disaster.
Yeah.
And so that's really something that everyone, no matter where you're at, probably 80% of the people in the United States go to the city sometime, go to work in the city, you know, they're transporting back and forth, and that's when a disaster could strike.
Well, we had a small disaster here not too long ago, twice, with the gas line the gas lines busting.
Yeah, that's right. That was just 2 months ago.
Yeah,
So.
there was no gas in any local gas stations, and there was no food in the grocery stores, and that was only for like a week. If you hadn't been in a prepared mindset, then you probably struggled, for that time.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people did struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, on our news feed, we saw all sorts of things. You saw fights breaking out, saw people stealing gas from other people's cars. Sort of every, even small thing like that, you sort of get an idea of what it would be like on a bigger scale.
Oh yeah, just imagine just a little bit more escalated. What if the trucks hadn't come for 2 weeks?
Right.
I mean, gangs would have formed. I mean, there would have been riots.
Yeah.
Would have been,
or if they would have stopped bringing food because they couldn't get gas. Imagine that. I mean.
Yeah, I know. They were already sending trucks from up north down here, so for gas, and it really got high. I know a few years ago, gas actually got to about $7 a gallon here. So because of the gas lines again.
Yeah.
So
right.
if you're not ready to sit in place, then you better get ready to pay.
That's right. Yeah. So let's get back to projects, which
Okay.
is kind of the focus for me right now, because as I got here, of course, it took like a month away from Daniel and Krista just to, prepare things to have a longer time guest here than just a weekend or 2 weeks or something like that. And so as we're looking for a homestead, hopefully you'll still be able to see it while we're looking at that cob house. You'll still be able to see where it's at, but we don't know yet. We started thinking as I got here, what kind of projects can now we put 2 manpower on? Mm-hmm. Instead of just 1, and what kind of projects can Kelly and Krista do together that will sort of make up for that time? And I think we looked at, there's really so many things, and one of those things, of course, is the cob house. Mm-hmm. And sort of finishing that up, or at least getting to the next stage.
Yeah, getting to the next stage. We would like to turn the downstairs, which is downstairs right now is the perfect root cellar, but right. The roof is not insulated, so with their help, we're going to take the oak like I'm doing the siding on the house, and we're going to finish the roof of that, and for future guests, and there'll be somebody else coming, so we're going to make that a mini apartment down there, and actually then that'll be it for this year because we have to get our plants going. So we got a lot of time and things. We got to get our seeds started. We got to get the greenhouse going, because we need to produce a lot of food now. So,
and that's another thing about the works in progress is Daniel had it 100% figured out how much gardening, how much aquaponics he was going to need for his family, his immediate family, and then to store some left over. Mm-hmm. But now if you think about working together and feeding that many more mouths, we had to kind of like look at the books and say, okay, well, we've got to expand this area, do a little bit here. So I'm sure you guys will see some more projects on video as we do some hand tilling and laying some more work for the garden and things like that. You were just talking today about the need for maybe even expanding the aquaponics system to encompass the entire greenhouse.
Yeah, I would love that. With a rice patty, with a cranberry patty, all the superfoods, Swiss chard. I'd really like to go overboard with that because I'd really like to help as many as I can. But plus, feed us healthy as possible.
Yeah, right.
So do that, and then I talked to somebody today about some composted wood sawdust, and it's all black, and y'all seen it before.
Yeah.
Plus, I want to get ready to do another tomato forest. With his family, they love tomatoes too. Oh, yeah. I asked him already. And so I think we'll be able to handle that 400 pounds of tomatoes every week. And, right. With all of us working together, we can put them up and store them and
that's right.
Dehydrate them and
do all sorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we're thinking about this, we were taking a walk of the property and looked at the greenhouse yesterday, and something had gotten into the greenhouse, and we both saw it. And we said, yep, we're going to have to go patch that tomorrow. Not 24 hours later, not even 12 hours later, Daniel's out there working his butt off. He should have came and got me, but working his butt off as a cat got into the greenhouse and made a mess.
Yeah.
And so that's just one of those things that, it just added back onto the things that have to get done.
Yeah. I mean, instead, I was working on the goat pen, and I heard water running. It's like, uh-oh, something's wrong with the aquaponics. And I go out there, And you know how I don't glue the pipes together so I can clean them out.
Yeah, right.
A cat was jumping on those pipes, knocked them free, and all the water was just pouring on the ground. So I go out there to a mud pit, and it's flying in my face, and it's muddy, and I had to just turn off the aquaponics, stake it up, and just walk away for a little bit because it was raining in there on me. So it was just not the perfect opportunity. So you know how that is.
It went back on the to-do later.
Yeah, to-do later. It's stable now, but I got to go back there later on today and get it back.
Dolphin Man said that they're planting some Swiss chard. If the laptop's a little bit further away, so if you have any questions, please put them in caps so that we can both kind of catch an eye and it stands out for us. And if you have projects that are on your list, we want to know what those are too. What are the things that you have to get done? Because it's always good. You might be thinking of something that is also on our list, and we might say, hey, how are you doing it? And we might catch something from you, a good way to do it that we were toiling by hand a different way.
Yeah, today, everybody has to do it. I paid our land taxes. So everybody has to pay their land taxes. No, I don't care where you are, you got to pay your land taxes. But it was a reason why I had to do that, because I ran into a friend who is like-minded like us, and he's fixing to grow 100 acres worth of produce, non-GMO, non-fertilizers, non-pesticides. And he was asking me, what can I do with all this produce? And I told him flea markets and stuff like that. But I also told him about the community that's building, and offer it to all the other people, and they'll offer you stuff, and they'll just barter back and forth, and whatever's left over, you can sell.
Right.
So
so that was a good connection that you wouldn't have made if you didn't go do that necessary task.
Yeah, at the exact same time, so if the aquaponics hadn't made me mad, hadn't have been spurting everywhere, and I had to walk away from it because I know it just would have been frustrating. I'd probably end up walking away anyway. But at that exact same time, to go down there to meet him, to make that connection, to get future produce.
Matthew said he's working on expanding the garden and building a shed. Expanding the garden 3 times, that's good. So, really, and then you can kind of experiment with some of the land, probably depending on what you've got, and do a little more than you think you have, and see if you can, use it all. Mm-hmm. Like Daniel did with the tomato, your tomato experiment, where you produced way more than you could use.
Oh yeah, I did the tomato forest, and I have past videos of that. The tomato forest. You see me walking in, and they're 16 foot high, and tomatoes all the way up. It was crazy how many tomatoes I was producing. But hey, that was all worm casting tea, making a worm casting tea every day, compost tea, and watering them once a week. But now I have a future video coming up, where I'm actually putting a 55-gallon drum up higher, where I could hook a garden hose and brew the tea, and then just go turn on the valve and water the plants with a hose, instead of carrying those garden waters everywhere, which took several hours a day. So
now Mrs. Red Honey brings up a good question. She said, well, knowing that you guys are that you're burning the midnight owl is a consideration to the times that we live in. And I think you're right. There just comes a time where everyone needs to think about the future. Mm-hmm. And, if you're not in a good position, do what you can to get into a better position, and, make some contingency plans with friends, start to build that community and start to think about those people. And even if it's for nothing more than to remove yourself that much from the system. Mm-hmm. I would much rather go to a community friend member who is a nurse, a registered nurse, and ask them about something than I would rather go to a medical physician who is out to gain money from you. Mm-hmm. So there's just so many things to be said about that, whereas the nurse would be there to help you because she knows you're going to be there, or he knows you're going to be there to help them in return.
Well, now you have Dr. Pat.
Yeah, right.
And Nurse Shelley. Yeah. Yep. So he joined the community. So now it's part of community.
Yeah. So, and really no one's out of reach of that. I just got an email today from a great friend, and they started the email talking about making they made a purchase with one of our advertisers, and they said they were very happy with it and they're glad that we had them on. But then they said someone came to the door that they started to talk about the purchase and started to talk about life and sort of the way the world is going. And whereas this person thought that no one in the world would want to be in a community with them, they built a relationship and started igniting that fire, to make that happen. So no matter what position you're in, you might be like me and Daniel, where we don't really have, social friends.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that. We don't have a need to go out with, friends to a ball game or something like that.
Or out drinking or
right.
out to eat or anything.
Which was
like
funny
that.
yesterday, because we were talking about something and we're like making tinctures and other things. And I said, well, we need some alcohol. And he said, I don't have any. I said, well, I don't have any. So
yeah, we don't drink. So
yeah.
But that's a mistake as prepared mindset, because
now we'd have to distill some. We'd have to make our brew and then distill it just to get it. So we've got to consider that.
Yes, exactly. But I have the copper tubing and the pressure canner, so we can actually make one, but just have to add it to the project list, and maybe it'll squeeze in after the event sometime. So
somebody said about streaming this on full spectrum. So we sort of take turns,
mm-hmm.
and we do a couple on Daniel's channel, do a couple on full spectrum, because it's not just about view counts or anything for us. It's about the communities that we have built. Like some of Daniel's subscribers probably have no interest in survival and preparedness, and that's okay, because they're thinking the same way about their gardens and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have the interest on the other side of things. So we want to make sure, but that's a good idea, and we do switch back and forth, so you'll see him come to see
next week is for the next 2 weeks it'll be his turn on his his channel.
Miss Red Honey said new project is tanning and stretching hides. That's something, I've done some tanning and stretching, and it's something, there's a lot of things in life that you can get done, but you don't necessarily, it's not your skill set. And for me, that's one of those. I can get it done, but if you were asking me to make a jacket out of something,
mm-hmm.
not my skill set. So that's something that we are looking forward to, like Big Bear coming over.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
And, going through some runs with that. And luckily Big Bear Homestead's now only like 3 hours away. So
mm-hmm.
that's close enough that you can consider that person a member of your community.
Yes, exactly. And Big Bear is an awesome person. He's everybody's friend. Everybody knows him. He missed his auction last night. That was pretty awesome, the auction. And they raised a lot of money for Tommy Alderman that got attacked by the dog. If you don't know him, mm-hmm. He got attacked, and the whole community is joining together to help everybody that needs help.
Yeah, right. Which is a good thing. I mean, that's a very good thing. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions about the comp house that maybe other people don't have. How hard was it to set the windows?
It wasn't hard at all.
Okay. So do you just, because of the malleability of the cob, can you just kind of get it in there and start working it in? Or
well, actually, you still need a wood frame to go in there. So you build your wood frame in there, and it all depends on your straw bales.
Okay.
So you put your straw bales in, and you build a wooden frame for the windows. So, but you can trim completely around the windows with the cob. But the wooden frame is a necessity.
Okay.
But we have windows over there that have no wooden frame, that are completely in the cob, and they're working really well. So that they were experiments. So we'll let you know how they turn out in a few years.
Mr. Red Honey said, if you've got long cold winters like I do, it keeps you from getting fevers. I must have missed what that was about. Dolphin Man said, have homesteaders make a booklet of what others can do. Yeah, I think, we were just talking about an ebook recently, and there's a couple of different things that, we should probably consider putting together, like building a community and how to go about it,
mm-hmm.
how to just start that, because if you are forced to rely on the community, if you don't have one built yet, it's going to be hard. You're going to kind of have to take whoever comes or make do.
Yeah, and then you go into what your video said the other day, which I thought was really good. Are you an asset, or are you going to be
a burden?
A burden,
right?
And most likely, if you haven't built a community, you would be a burden right now. So,
Yeah.
but most people will put you under their wing. Some will, not most. I'm
Right.
sorry. Some will put you under their wing and help you get through. So,
And you know, like Jay Wallace, I think he was in here. Having a knife maker, a blacksmith, huge part of an asset. You know, huge part of a community. Someone who's familiar with it and can, you know, especially if they can do it with off-grid materials.
oh yeah.
You know, that's just another huge part. You've got your blacksmith, healthcare worker, animal husbandry, agriculture, security.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone that's on fire all the time, you know, or that's really good at it.
Yes.
Someone, if you don't have a hand pump well, which is what we're working to get here, if you don't have one, someone has to be on water duty almost 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Because to purify that water, unless you are fortunate enough to have, you know, 5 Berkey systems set up or something that you can just fill and run, but that's still taking hours out of the day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the hand pump will be awesome, but I do have a bucket that will go down into the well, so we can.
Yeah, we can get it out.
We can dip it, but at 2 gallons at a time, that's going to take a lot for.
Yeah, 10 people. You're going to need at least. You're going to have to double the number of people just to get by with what you got.
Yeah.
And so, you know, 20 gallons, and how many feet down?
300 feet. So.
Someone's going to be there a while. So,
yeah,
you know, you got to think about those types of things.
And going like this all day long is you're going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I promise you. You know, because try pulling it'd be 16 pounds, like this.
20, yeah.
You know, for
10 times, yeah.
Yeah, and see what you think,
Right.
But if it came down to it, with his ingenuity and my ingenuity, we could come up with something that's powered by, you know, like the little kid power wheels and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right. Or we could use a bicycle crank.
Oh yeah,
bicycle
exactly.
Crank it up, just build a frame over the pump and bicycle crank it up, you know.
And I have some bicycles for future wheat grinding mills.
Okay. Yeah, so there's lots of projects to be done, and I saw someone said that their well just took a dump on them. And you know, you've got to always think about those things, even if, you know, you've got to work to not let the reliance fall on someone else, even on their community, because your community might have a well, or whoever you plan on, you know, if something went wrong, whoever you plan on being with, they might have a well, but what if it dries up? Or what if something happens tectonically and it becomes unusable?
Mm-hmm.
You know, are they close enough to a water source? Like, there's a water source nearby here and we can make water runs.
Yeah.
You know,
it's close enough. The lake is close enough, and there's springs and creeks. You know, there's a few springs that I know about that, you know, of course I'm not going to share, but
right.
But we would be heading towards those.
Dolphin Man said pigeons, homing pigeons. I love homing pigeons. I think they're a great tool. They are an asset. If you have someone who could work with them, huge asset. And you used to raise some pigeons, didn't you?
Pigeons and doves.
Yeah. So that's definitely a good idea. And a way to have some limited communication and things like that. Another way is, you know, having transmission. You know, you could do an open airway transmission. You know, there's some good things to think about there. Rick Ballard said, think about building a large cistern for well water storage. We were just talking about that the other day because he's got it.
Another project.
Another project. That's
yes.
Right. 200 gallons, right?
2,000 gallons.
That's what. Yeah, 2,000. 2,000 gallons. So it's just, that's another project. You know, where do we put it? How do we use it? You know, how do we make it efficient so that, you know, do we bury half of it so that you're not pumping so high in the ground, you're only pumping half as high, or, you know, there's just all those considerations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree that where I have it set up in the greenhouse, I was going to, with a 1-inch rain, it's 20,000 gallons of water that runs off that greenhouse.
Right.
So it wouldn't be nothing to catch 2,000 gallons. So what I was going to do is try to build a ram hydraulic pump and, you know, get it started myself and then pump it up. It's only, the tank is only 12 foot high, so just pump it up 12 feet. So I don't know if that's possible or not, but I'm sure with a little engineering, we can figure out something. let it fall a little bit, let it go from larger to smaller size, so I have a lot of ideas.
Matthew said 2,000 gallons. He put a 200-gallon in, and he thought he was getting ahead. You are. Absolutely. Daniel just happened to have a connection to get this 2,000-gallon tub. And now, it's like so many things. We're both of the same mindset that you have an opportunity to get things, but you might not need it today. But it goes on that project list. And so part of another thing on our project list and getting things done is to review all of the potential assets on the homestead and say, do we, like Daniel said, on the bicycles, okay, do we have enough or too many bicycles? Or do we have enough or too many of something else? And then, you can take your too manys and you can barter with them for the things that you don't have enough for, or, something like that.
Oh, I agree 100%. That's why I said you need to take a walk through and tell me what's just not never going to happen as far as future projects, because when I get something, I say, well, I can do this for it, but it's got to go on the waiting list.
Right. Yeah, right.
And sometimes it gets pushed back and pushed back and pushed back until finally one day I can get to it. So.
But here's a project that I want to bring to his table, and you tell me if you guys want to see it. So I want to set up a microcomputer, and I'm going to program it with some environment sensing gauges. So I want to put it in the greenhouse and put another camera in the main animal husbandry area, and I want to sense rainfall, humidity, noises, spikes, and then do some programming to sense spikes in any of those, so that if you notice a spike in humidity or a spike in temperature, it would send Daniel and send to his Twitter so that everybody else could see an alert and a picture. And that picture would say, it's raining inside the greenhouse and it shouldn't be, or it's freezing inside the tanks. And, you get a picture of the fish and the conditions. I think that would be very neat. I think it would be helpful. So if it's something if that's a project you guys want to see and you want to be able to kind of follow along with that, and I've done this. So I built a programming game for Twitter that I had a use for it at the time. So if someone sent a message to your Twitter and they used a certain hashtag, the program would always look for that, and then it would respond to them a certain way. So if they sent, hashtag how are the fish, it would grab a picture of the fish and send it to them. So there's those types of things. If you guys want that type of interaction on Daniel's channel, just let me know, and we'll put that a little bit higher on the priority list.
He's awesome, ain't he? Come on, to be able to do that would be a dream come true for me, to be able to know the temperature of the water and without having to physically go out there and hold a thermometer in there and check the temperature of the greenhouse.
Yeah,
that's a homesteader's dream, to tell you the truth.
And you can buy those types of systems, but they're going to cost you $400, and they're single purpose. But I fortunately had done my own. I taught myself the Python programming language and a couple of others, and so I can do it, and we can get it done for like $25. So that's a huge difference. It's just, and then it just falls on man hours. So that's why it's on the project list.
Okay, it's on the project list. We'll put it here.
A couple of people saying, yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, that's great. Dolphin Man asks a great question to consider on any community or homestead. Do you ever get trespassers? Or do you have any concern now or after a disaster of, you're in a rural area, you're far away from a lot. Is that a thought on your considerations?
Do I ever get trespassers? Yes, I get trespassers, and redneck boys walking through the woods. That's one thing. But when a collapse happens, if it was just me and Krista here, there's no way we could defend this by ourselves. But
right.
With full spectrum, Brad here is giving me some hope about, with him close, then we can protect what we have, and we're going to help people, but we're not going to just let them come and take it away from us.
And it's not just like in Florida. There's so many people right now, and the economy is so bad that it was already happening. And with my own eyes and being on the homestead out there, I saw people coming and stealing cows stealing bushels and backpacks full of food from the tomato farms and things. So this is already happening. Now, like Daniel said, we just have to consider how to stop it from happening here in a more rural area. And, you know, that just goes back to the considerations you have for a community. You know, more hands, more eyes are always a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, so what if you could see your neighbor and all that kind of stuff? I know in the cities you have neighbors stacked on right on top of each other, literally.
Yeah, right.
But here, you know, they would just be within sight, you know, or something like that. And we want that, even though we could, during the wintertime we could see one neighbor, but that's all. And
Or the spring, you mean, right?
no, the wintertime.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wintertime we could see one neighbor, but spring and summer we can't see nobody here. But I'm willing for that to change so that
You have good neighbors that are part of your community nearby.
yes, exactly. So
okay, thanks, Teal House. Just had to say they had to leave. Hey, Susan. Hey, everybody. So okay, projects. What can we expect to see on your channel in the next 2 months? What do you think we'll see? You already said the compost tea project. What else do you have?
The goat barn is also going to be turned into half a chicken barn. I mean, they're not going to run free and they're not going to be over the goats or anything like that. But I'm going to separate it off and make stalls for the goats and make a milking station. And that's a easy project, and I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be fun. But siding the house, we're going to finish board and batting the house.
Now, what do you think how long did it take you to get one side on?
It took me 2 days.
2 days. Okay, so in a good day, we could get a side done in a day.
It took me a day by itself for the heater.
Okay. Yeah.
But after that, then it was 2 days. So, but yeah, the solar heater. Yeah. What other projects? The greenhouse. We got to start seeds. We got to start planting, grafting. We're going to be doing a lot of grafting this year. Grafting your tomatoes is not harming them. You're putting them on. I use supernatural rootstock, and the supernatural rootstock is a natural plant. It's one of the original tomatoes. You know the first word. It's a green unedible tomato, but if you let them get red, you can still eat them. Me and Anna still eat them. So, but anyway, all it's doing is taking the disease resistance of that one unedible plant and giving it to your heirlooms, and you're just grafting an heirloom on top of it. Has anybody ever really got the size that the package says on our tomatoes?
No.
If you graft, you get that size. I mean, I got a 2-pound, 11-ounce brandy wine. I mean, this was this big, and I was just like, I enjoyed every bite of that.
And it still tastes good at that size.
It still tastes good. It tastes better actually. So, but all your tomatoes are actual size. Beefsteak that's supposed to get 2 pounds, they get 2 pounds. And talking about production, and you know, if you cut off the suckers and let the tomato plant just grow fruit and leaves, then you're going to get tomato leaves, tomatoes leaves. So it's all how you grow it, but that's the best way to do it.
Dana had mentioned that she's just getting started composting, even in an apartment size. I think you can learn all about composting in a jar just as much as you can by having a 5x5 bin. Do you think the same way?
Oh yeah, exactly. So you could start off with a little bit of dirt, and that's you're doing something. You can make your own organic dirt, you know, just in a jar or a 5-gallon bucket. 5-gallon bucket would probably be better for even in an apartment. So
Anna said, how long does it take in a cold climate? If you're talking about composting, let's answer that. If I missed what you were talking about, how long does something take in a cold climate, let us know. But how long in a cold climate is it going to take your compost pile? Is it going to be harder because of the heat? Okay.
It is going to be harder, but if you do it right in the right order, your green and your manure and your table scraps and everything, it'll still get hot even in freezing temperatures. People are using it to heat their greenhouses, you know, heat hot water for showers and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of interesting things on it.
Okay. Yeah, she was talking about composting. How about, I guess it would be important to switch to glass if you were doing it on a small scale for the winter, especially to allow some radiation to get in there. Huh?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that.
Maybe like an opaque glass, something like that. Okay.
Yeah, that Lexon, the bulletproof glass would be good too, and it might be cheaper than actual glass. So,
Dolphin Man said, "How do city people, and really, how does anyone know that a fish is not healthy to eat? What have you seen from your experience that a fish isn't healthy to eat? What would turn you off to that? Especially, maybe you had trot lines out and it was already, dead by the time you got to it. How would you know that it wasn't safe to eat?"
how would I know? I mean, usually you could look at the gills and the mouth, and if there's some kind of slime or slobber coming out, then I would eat it. If it's dead, when I get to it on the trot line, I wouldn't eat it. But you got to consider I look at what that fish eats. If it eats insects or anything like that, then pretty much if it has scales, it eats insects, it eats algae, it eats plants, other fish. Nothing bad. But if it doesn't have scales, then they usually eat the leftovers from the other fish. So.
Right. Yeah, they're the vultures of the fish world.
Yeah, the vultures of the fish world.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you've ever popped open a vulture, there's nothing you want to have to eat.
Yeah, one threw up on my car one time. I had to wash it like 6 times with bleach, and it was horrible.
Yeah, Freaky Geeky 2 said missing scales and fins, cloudy eyes. If the eyes don't look good, just like chickens or anything else, if the eyes don't look good, if you catch more than one and one of them looks remarkably different than the other in a negative way, you'll want to consider staying away from it. At the end of the day, though, you take a look at things like in other cultures, they have forever soups and forever stews, and they have soups and stews that have been burning and boiling or simmering on the same fires for decades. So can the boiling of it kill almost everything? I'd have to say yes. Of course, if that fish got into like chemical pesticides or something, there's no boiling is going to help that. Or if there was radiation or anything like that, boiling's not going to help that. But as far as viral contaminants, I think if you just gave it your all and continued to boil, that's why people can eat really disgusting things sometimes, like McDonald's. Yeah, like McDonald's.
Well, if you eat McDonald's, you know you're eating horse meat, you know you're eating rats, and you know you're eating worms.
Not that we all haven't had a burger every once in a while.
Yeah,
but you just take it with what it is.
Yeah, I don't eat there anymore. I promise I wouldn't. I would go hungry before I eat at McDonald's anymore. But I had a point, but I forgot it. Sorry.
That's okay. So fish, making them safe.
Oh, the stew.
Yep, forever stew.
Okay, the forever stew. Now, me and Krista have done a lot of research on that. We want to learn more, but the pioneers, they used to keep a pot of stew going at all times, like you said, over a fire, and they would just add different ingredients to it. And it's something, if in a collapse, it's something you should consider, because you won't have to have refrigeration, and you get a few sticks and keep a fire going on it all day.
Right. You're going to have to stay warm or boil water anyways.
Yes, exactly. So I would look into that. I would investigate that. And
yeah, so it's a good thing, and especially if you brought that as part of your asset kit. I can cook, I can keep a fire, and I can tend to a forever pot of stew or a forever food type, and then you become the only person they need to handle consumption.
Yes, exactly. And that is a powerful asset, because people go out and work all day, especially if they're having to scavenge in the woods or something like that for food. I mean, greens and stuff, you're going to have to cook them up good to make them taste good all the time. Of course, to get my girls to eat them, they just need a little bit of flavor, and they'll eat it. So learning your edibles is important too. So
yeah. Well, good. We're at 45. We seem to take about 45 minutes every show. So thank you guys for coming with us. We talked about some projects. If you have any projects that are on your list, please share them with us. Even if you email Daniel at Go for Green Living, it's DS813 Go for Green Living at gmail.com. Email them, tell them your projects. We'll think about them. If we have anything that we think we can add, we'll let you know. And if you're doing a project that we think you might know more than us, we'll ask you for your help.
Yeah.
So, just let us know.
Yeah, come join the community. Let's all get together. Let's work together.
That's right. Well, I didn't have anything else, did you?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for being here with us. And next week, you're going to come onto my channel, and we'll do it again. If there's a topic you guys want to hear about, just let us know. Whatever it is.
Aquaponics, cob building, we can even, if the weather's good enough, we can even mix up cob and do some applications if he's interested. But
yeah, absolutely.
It's dirty work.
That's okay. And if you want to see, if you go, well, I just want to see a new background next time, you show us a new background this time. Let us know what you want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done the aquaponics. We've done the cob house.
Yep.
We could get the upstairs of the cob house and
go over there. We go in front of a fire. If you guys, whatever you want to see or talk about, just let us know.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you guys from me and Daniel, and we hope you all stay safe and keep watch.
All right. Later, guys.